Thank you so much for joining us for this session today. And I always like to start these sessions with just a thank you to the people who take care of our people. Thank you for your commitment to that and the energy that I know that takes personally. So I'm Lynette, Silva, Heelan, EMEA consulting practice leader with Workhuman, where I have the best job in the world. We help companies create cultures where their people feel seen, valued, and appreciated for what they do and for who they are through our systems that support employee recognition, celebration, and performance. And that's absolutely critical in what we're doing today because our employees are expecting more from us than ever before. And they're expecting more from us on the well-being front, particularly in 5 areas. These are 5 areas defined by our research partner, Gallup, in terms of well-being, and that is in career well-being. I enjoy my job. I find meaning in the work I do. Social well-being. I have strong connections with the people in my life, family, friends, colleagues. Financial well-being. I feel like I can meet my financial obligations without undue worry or concern. Physical well-being. I have the energy to engage at work and at home. And community well-being. I have strong social connections with my greater community. So, room of trust, room of safety, no judgment zone. Show of hands. Who in this room feels like they're 5 for 5? You're doing pretty good on all 5 of these fronts of well-being yourself. Yeah. We got 1 person. That's great. I'm not even going to count myself in that number. And yet I'm up here telling you, and now this is your responsibility to help meet your employees' expectations for this as well. So that is gutsy of me to do that. The great news is I have a recommendation for you on how we can help in this front. We're not necessarily going to solve it every time. We can most certainly help, but we can't do that unless we keep our humans front and center, unless we focus on the human and not the resources, and keep that humanity at the front. Because our people, they don't feel connected to our company culture at all. They are burnt out beyond belief, and those employees who feel no connection to the people at work, 9 times as likely to be disengaged. There is a very good reason why Gallup, in their Q12 employee engagement survey that asked just 12 questions, it's got mentioned in the keynote this morning. 2 of those questions are, I have received praise for the work I do in the last 7 days, and I have a best friend at work. These 2 are very intimately connected. Because that point of connection between 2 people, when I say thank you, I appreciate you, I see what you do, that creates connection. Connection creates relationship. Relationship is the foundation for friendship. Very intimately connected in how we deliver that, and this human connection matters now more than ever. Our keynote, Bruce, delivered strongly on this. There's not a whole lot I can add to what he said there, except to underscore, in improv terms, to yes and everything he said this morning in terms of connection. Our people are hurting for connection. And as we talk about hybrid work and return to workplace and all of that, that is top of mind for so many, how are we helping our people feel good about that from a well-being front when they're telling us, you know, my well-being was pretty good when that balance I found working from home. And now you're forcing me back in, my well-being's going down. So in the face of that, how are we carrying that message, as Bruce said, of we? That face-to-face effervescent connection that he talked about and driving that connection. And this is that importance of supporting our employees during times of uncertainty. So before I do that, to save time, we're not going to flip to Slido, just to show of hands on, I'm going to ask you for show of hands, when was the last time you felt seen, recognized, appreciated, valued at work? The options are going to be annual, about a year ago, or how often do you need to feel that? And well, once a year, you're good. You know, a couple times a year, monthly, weekly. Those are going to be the options. So who in the room feels like if you get appreciated once a year, that's good enough for you? Great. So your annual review, you're good. Terrific. How many people feel like, you know, a couple, 3 times a year, That's enough for me. A few more hands there. About monthly, it would be nice if someone told me the work I'm doing is good. Majority of hands on that one. How about weekly? People feel weekly. I'm in the weekly front. Because, I'm pretty kick-ass. I do good work on a weekly basis. All of those answers are fine. Nobody is wrong. But the majority were settling in about that monthly. Again, there's a reason why Gallup says in the last 7 days. Recency effect, the way the human brain works. And we need this even more now because of the permacrisis we're in. What do I mean by permacrisis and the impact of that? I mean the insane merry-go-round that we have been on, from COVID to war in the Ukraine, to Great Resignation, to quiet quitting, to loud layoffs, to what's next. Oh my God, it just isn't stopping. The way I think about this, do you remember childhood playground, that merry-go-round? I loved that death trap, where you get your friends together and you run around as fast as you can, get it up to speed, jump on, and go for a spin. Now, my colleagues in the room aren't surprised by this. I'm the weird kid. So do that, jump on, and then I would face outwards. I would immediately get so dizzy and almost sick. But I love that. And when it got to the point I couldn't take it anymore, I turned back around and faced into my friends. And the dizziness would go away like that. Because when we're focused on what matters most, the people who matter most to us, the rest of it just falls away. And that's what connection does. That's what connection drives. So when our people are telling us this, these numbers are massive. People stress beyond belief, but my employer doesn't care. They don't care that I can't meet my financial obligations. They've given me a lot more responsibility, but no more reward or recognition for it. And you know what? I'm out of here. I'm going someplace that will actually appreciate me. That's the result of the permacrisis. And that's where the power of strategic social recognition in the workplace comes in. This is the connection that people are seeking. And folks, it's easy. And it's also simple. So when employees feel recognized and rewarded for the work they do, after pay has to be right, but after pay, that is their top motivator for staying with the organization. It boosts their morale, and it makes them feel connected to their colleagues and their company. It also helps us thrive. I love this concept of thriving. Think of thriving as a proxy measure for well-being. Because what thriving means in this research is I feel good about today, and tomorrow looks even better. So when people say they are thriving, they're saying their state of well-being is pretty solid. And when people, this is what recognition can drive for. When people agree that recognition is an important part of their company culture, 91% say they are thriving. And when they receive the right percent amount of recognition, more likely to thrive. But this last one I love. People recognized twice a month, twice as likely to say they are thriving. We need that. Humans need validation. This is not about the gold star. This is about being seen at work. It also helps us mentally, on a mental well-being front. Recognition lifts our spirits. The brain does not have the capacity to hold negative and positive in equal balance. One will dominate. Feed the good wolf, if you've seen that meme. People who have an attitude of gratitude toward others and also feel appreciated themselves have more positive emotions. And how much time? I'm gonna take 20 seconds for this one. The brain science shows it takes just 20 seconds to build positive neural pathways in your brain. So everybody, I want you to close your eyes. Call to mind something, someone you are grateful for. This could be a family member, a friend, person at work. This could be this glorious summer weather. Could be the fact that your hotel room was air conditioned in this glorious summer weather. Got that in mind? 20 seconds. Focus on that. Congratulations. You've just built positive neural pathways in your brain. It's that easy. It is that easy. There is no excuse to not focus on that. And also, when we focus on the positive, when we express recognition to others at work, when we feel recognized and appreciated at work, burnout goes down. And our people are massively burnt out. And they're also very likely to leave because of it and look for a new opportunity elsewhere. Yet, our research with Gallup shows when people agree the recognition they receive at work is meaningful and aligned to the work they do, 73% less likely to be burnt out, and more than half less likely to be looking for another opportunity because they feel seen. And this is why it is so important that we focus on the individuals, the human, not the resource, and keep the human at the center. Because after all, without the human, it's just work. Our research with Gallup also shows the impact of this on many fronts. Again, when people agree the recognition they receive at work is meaningful and aligned to the work they do, they are 4 to 5 times more likely to be engaged, see a career path to grow, recommend the organization to others, and feel connected to the culture of the company. But it's that upper right stat that I like the most. When people agree the recognition they receive at work is meaningful and aligned to the work they do, they are 44% more likely to be thriving in their lives overall. Again, thriving is a proxy measure for well-being. 44% more likely to be thriving in their lives overall because they feel seen. Remember, recognition is not just saying thank you. It is saying, I see you. I see what you do. What you do matters. You matter. This is intense stuff, people. It is powerful. And it drives that point of connection that we need. And it's also about recognizing and celebrating people, not just for what they do and how they do it. Of course, that's important in the workplace. It's also about celebrating people for who they are. And in Workhuman terms, that comes down to celebrating life events together, such as marriage, a new member of your family, whether a baby, adoption, or perhaps a new pet, sporting achievement together. My favorite life event was not when I got married to a fellow Workhuman colleague. Don't tell him I said that. It was when I got my Irish driver's license. So I moved to Ireland in 2019, obviously American, drove in the US for 25 years, came to Ireland to get my license. I had to sit the theory test, take the 12 classes with the driving instructor, and then take the driving test again, which I failed the first time. Passed it on the second try, and a colleague, a friend at work, not even my manager, created a life event to celebrate me getting my driver's license. 100 people in both of our headquarters in Dublin and the US chimed in on that to celebrate, including our CEO, who's Irish, and said, fair play, that's not easy to do. I was boosted so much by that. I still think about this, I still tell the story. Celebrating those moments that matter together, that drive the connection that we need. And the research also tells us when people celebrate a life event with colleagues, they're 3 times as likely to strongly agree their organization cares about their well-being. Perception is reality. How do we want our employees to feel that we care about them and their well-being? Know them, celebrate them, recognize them. So what's the action plan here? There are some things we can do and take away. We need to start by thinking strategically, thinking a bit differently about employee recognition. This is not what we used to say, millennials needing a gold star. It was never about millennials. It's now, they're 40 years old and have 2 kids. It's now Gen Z in the workplace. They also don't need a gold star. What people new in the workplace need, who have never done this before, is validation that they're doing this correctly, that this is what you need them to be doing, and do more of it. And they need to feel that connection to their colleagues. And it doesn't really matter if you're 22 and new in the workplace, or 50 and changing jobs into a job you've never done. Again, connection to those, did I make the right life decision to leave what I knew and jump into a new place with people I don't know? Do I feel welcome? Do I feel connected? So we need to invest smart around those areas. This is game changing for our people and for the business. We also need to celebrate well-being itself. What does that look like? We engage in so many well-being activities in the workplace. How do we celebrate those together? That could be from actual well-being activities that are identified as that. It could be charities are big well-being activities for people, engaging in a tidy town cleanup together, marching in the Pride Parade. How are we bringing that to the fore so that group is seen and celebrated for those activities? And by the way, we're highlighting to employees what we're doing in these areas to show how we care. We need to upskill our managers, because it can just sound like I started this session with, here's one more thing you gotta do. Got time for that? It's not that. This is about all of us and how it benefits all of us. And it's not only on the manager to recognize others. Every employee in our organizations owns our culture. So how are we empowering every employee to recognize and celebrate others that they see doing good work, how they're delivering, and for who they are? And we need to lead by example. So Cisco, customer of Workhuman for 10 years, studies well-being as well in their organization. And they look specifically at two types within Cisco. They look at personal well-being and social well-being. How am I doing? How are we doing? And what they see for people where this is strong on both fronts, they're far more engaged, they're more positive about their experience at Cisco, they check in with each other more frequently. And under check-in, that can mean manager one-on-one check-ins. It can also just mean me and my buddy, hey, how you doing? How are things going? Just checking in. And they feel like they receive more attention, positive attention in the workplace. They're not left to flounder on their own. It's all about the we. And the business case for this, starting with retention, as we heard in the keynote this morning, and as you all know, the cost of turnover is extreme. But 77% of employees who feel they receive the right amount of recognition at work, and this group is a great example for some of you. That was once a year, some couple, 3 times, some monthly. The right amount for them. At work strongly agree they feel loyal to their organization, far less likely to leave. And what that translates to, this is research done by Gallup, for an average 10,000 employee organization, that saves 13 million pounds a year. Average 10,000 employee. We always get asked, what if we're more than that or less than that? It's a proportional scale. Just scale it up, scale it down. And well-being. That average 10,000 employee organization with low well-being scores costs them 20 million a year. If we can show our people we do care and they feel it, it's good for the business. Always keep in mind, what's good for the human is good for the business. Let's focus on our people first.